Okay, thanks for watching today. We are going to cover 15 markets of tax investing news like we always do. And we're going to cover some new features on the auction calendar for Parcel Fair to help you out there. There's a lot of new auction properties this week to cover, and we're going to focus on a few of those markets in particular, and even throw in some OTCs and some foreclosures just to talk about too. So let's go ahead and just get started here. First off, let's talk about the market totals of new properties that we've added and researched for you since November 5th. So since that date, we have 10,992 different properties added. 9,247 of those are going to be tax liens. 951 fall into the tax deed category. 783 of those properties are foreclosure, and 11 of those are land bank. So if we break that down by state, there were not many OTC properties added. It was really heavy auction focused the last week or two. So you have Colorado had 61 OTCs and a few in Maryland that we found. Not really a lot to speak about in other states, so we'll skip over. Just not a very big week for OTCs. Here's the breakdown of the auction properties that were added. This is going to be a mixture of tax deed or tax lien auctions. You'll see New Jersey has the most here by far and away, and some of the other ones are kind of dwindling. Florida always has a steady flow, it seems like, and so that's we'll cover all those markets in a moment. And lastly, the foreclosure properties added. Three strong, steady markets here: Florida, Indiana, and Colorado. Always seem to have a steady stream of foreclosures going to auction year-round. So now let's switch gears and talk about an auction calendar update. We have some new calendar views and options on our auction calendar, including a rolling calendar view. We can show you now previous years instead of just the current year, and now you can also quick link to view the map or the list of auction properties, but let's just show you instead of me talking about it. So here's our auction calendar, and right now we're looking at Indiana. This is using that rolling calendar mode that I mentioned. All that means is that instead of looking at all auctions coming up, it's going to look at just previous month and then current month and then the next 6. So it's really trying to narrow in on the months that you care about, giving you last month if you want to go back, the current month right here where you can see there are some complete auctions, and then we move on to the auctions that are colorful are the ones that are upcoming for you to look at. And then moving into the future months here, you'll notice the rolling calendar goes right past the end of 23 and into 2024. So you don't have to switch years now. You can actually just see all the upcoming auctions straight into next year that way. The other thing worth noting is that we split this map and list option off because we've had a recent emphasis. A lot of our users are asking about lists. And I think in auctions specifically, if you're viewing something like this Pulaski foreclosure sale, let's go look at just the 5 parcels from this auction. So you can see, we centered in on the first property here, and then you can also scroll on the right and see all 5 properties. No big deal. But a lot of people really just want to start at the list anyways. So you can either list all the properties that we know. So there's the 5 parcels for this one auction, and that's a quick way for you to look at these instead of having to squint at a map. So some people prefer that. From here, of course, you can sort by the building value if you wanted to, or sort by the total value by clicking these headers, sort by the acreage if you want to, whatever you want to sort by. It's just another way of viewing that is not tied to a map. You'll notice on the auctions that are in the past, you can do the same thing. You could actually go view previously hosted auctions, and this is a new feature. We didn't have these links here before. What this is going to do is actually show you the properties that were originally advertised in that sale. It doesn't mean it's the ones that actually made it to auction, but we have a lot of people that want to see which properties went to a sale. So let's take a larger tax auction, for example. Something, well, these are all, none of these are huge, but you can actually get to some of these. That would be maybe this one. No. Yeah. Anyways, these have a few hundred in them, but you could get to some of the larger auctions if you wanted to see what was sent to auction. originally advertised, this is a great way to do it. And again, you could either map it or you could view it in the list, just depending on what you're trying to do. So that's really all the new features on the auction calendar. Let's go to Alabama. And for example, in the coming months, there are no auctions scheduled yet. We know that around April we'll start to get some, but we don't have the dates on that yet. But you could always go back and look at the year 2020 and see how weird the auctions were that year. We actually had auctions in July because they were some of these were delayed into June and July when they were usually more like around May or April. But you could go back in Alabama in particular. We've tracked a few auctions back in 2018, so you have quite a history there. Same with something like Arkansas. You could go back to 2021 and see those auctions from that year if you wanted to go back. There's a lot of reasons why people like to look at historical auctions. Some people like to have a record of distressed properties from 1, 2, or 3 years in the past, just to be able to go check on those redemptions. So now you can really easily go back and get those old auctions that have passed. So a lot going on here coming into the new year with the auction calendar. Again, the rolling view. You can select different years. So like for Florida, we could just go straight for the 2024 and look at just the tax deed auctions that we know about. And we're already planning 2024 now. So there you go. So that covers our auction calendar update. You'll keep seeing that auction calendar in this video and otherwise, because it's one of the main features that we use to look at properties. So let's move to our first market, is going to be New Jersey. And we chose this to feature as our first state this week because their fall auction season, I would say, has transitioned into a winter auction season with a lot of December releases that we're looking at. So we know in November there were 25 total auctions. There are 10 remaining at the time this is being recorded. So you still have some time in November. We already see 41 auctions coming up in December. And so it's a strong month, a strong market to look at. And we will keep adding auctions as they're announced, December and even into January if there are auctions announced in January. So let's talk about, I said there's 10 remaining and 41 in December, 10 in November, 41 December. That's 51 auctions. Let's look at some totals for all those auctions. There were 10,311 advertised properties across those 51 auctions. And there are still 10,069 remain even after some of those early redemptions. Looks like about 250 have redeemed. 9,123 of these have some type of structure value reported. And I know sometimes the structure value can be a shack or a shed or a fence and it's only a few $100s reported, but even when I changed my filter to start to look through that and check for values over $1,000 or $5,000, there were still about 9,000 that had structure value, significant structure value. So it's a lot of these properties are developed and have improvements and buildings on them. The average property value was $246,000, just straight off the top. And then all the value of all the properties combined, county valuation is $2.43 billion. And again, that's county valuation, so actual market value is even running higher than that, $2.4 billion. And the total amount of taxes owed on these liens is $23.4 million. So there's a lot of revenue that the municipalities would love to recover here out of these auctions. So we are going to go take a closer look at this market. We also have an older video that goes deep into how the auctions work. It's on our channel here. There's even a New Jersey playlist if you want to go see multiple videos about New Jersey, just a way for you to dig in deeper. But today I have something special for you guys. One of our users didn't get permission to use his name, so I'll leave him anonymous for now. But he offered to talk to us about some of the markets that we're learning and give us some of his insights. And so we tried it out this week, and he gave us a few New Jersey market insights. So here's some tips, advice, and just all around things you should keep in mind when you're looking at the New Jersey market. And I had to honestly cut it back a little bit. He gave me such deep insights. We'll probably in our next New Jersey video go much deeper, but I distilled it down to what we can cover today. So the first thing that I really wanted to emphasize here is that all the municipal liens are lumped into the tax lien auction bucket. And what that means is that like sewer liens, utility, or code enforcement, if a house has like no tax lien, but does have a sewer lien, that house would still show up in these auction properties as a tax lien auction. So this really explains a lot, because when we've been looking at these properties, you would see a nice $250,000 house with a sizable tax lien on it, and then one of the neighbors would have a tax or a lien at the auction for just a few dollars, like $70, and it was a big mystery. Like, how are some of the liens so cheap on expensive properties? And now it makes a lot of sense. Since these liens are so cheap, they typically do redeem if they're not combined with a tax lien. It means if you have a property that has a tax lien and a sewer lien, for example, it's a decent chunk of money for the owner to redeem. But if it's just a sewer lien on its own without a tax lien, it's still showing up in the auction. It's going to be just maybe a few dollars. And since it is so cheap, the chance of redemption goes up. It's just something to keep in mind as you're investing in New Jersey. Also, one of the things we're going to cover today are some larger municipal markets, and they can be more competitive. Now, what that means is in New Jersey, instead of the counties holding tax lien auctions, the municipalities do. So there's 500 or more municipalities in New Jersey. It's in the hundreds. And these are smaller markets, typically, and smaller auctions. But you'll come across some of these that we're going to look at today that are actually pretty large. And what's happening there are you have hedge funds and bulk purchasers that really prefer to shop in larger pools with more opportunities, because in one auction they can buy a lot more property. And from experience and tracking these auctions in other states, I'm very familiar with this concept, and that especially on a hedge fund buyer, they are not afraid to blend their interest down, whether it's a bid down interest market or whether it's a premium bid market where the interest caps out and you can still tie up money. They're not afraid to blend that interest rate down much lower to what you or I might like to get out of a tax lien investment. In markets like Alabama, for years, there was a premium bid system where we watched and studied some of the hedge fund buyers blend their interest rate to around 4%. And for them, I think that was just, that was all they were trying to do with their hedge fund, was get a steady, decent rate of interest. And they weren't trying to get, the 12% that was formerly available there in Alabama. And so that's sort of the mindset of these hedge fund buyers. So those larger municipal markets in New Jersey, let's take a peek at the auction calendar, and we'll talk about those different market sizes. So we're going to go check out New Jersey. We're looking at it in 2023 here. So we'll take a look. Let's just fold these up for now. So you can see over the months this year, we've tracked really October, November, December have been the heaviest months. November, again, 25 auctions total, 10 remaining that are about to wrap up. And looking forward into December, not only do we have 41 auctions coming, but some of these are large. Right off the bat, North Bergen here, 492 parcels. That may not be large on a national scale, but for a municipality and for New Jersey, that is definitely a large auction when you see its neighbors here with 34 and 2 and 7 parcels. So this is a great way to just sift through these markets. Again, I guess it stands to reason some of the smaller markets might have less competition, so those might appeal to you. And then you have some of the larger markets we're getting into. Let's see. Hillside is a great example of 1,565 parcels. West New York with 1,516. Atlantic City with 1,867. And then Bridgeton with 1,643. So that's 4 markets there with over 6,000 properties combined. Some of the largest sales that we've seen in New Jersey so far this year. So let's take a look at one of these. We'll take West New York, and let's only map the properties from this auction. So remember, you could see everything in Hudson County here, but for purposes of what we're doing, looking at one auction at a time, I just want to see West New York and that municipality. So let's click on that. And a lot of people are very familiar with this area, this geography. You'll notice Manhattan is in the center of our map right here. And if we're looking just across the Hudson River here, this is where West New York would be. Let's click on the map for a little bit of contrast here. And you can really get a view of the density of tax liens and the properties available. here in West New York. It's very dense. And some of these on the waterfront are even larger, higher value properties that we could take a peek at here. Let's just click on this first one. That's a land-only property. On the satellite view, it looks like might be a park or something like that with a fountain. So there's an improvement there, but it's not a building. These are interesting individual units inside of these buildings. So you could bid on separate units in a dense residential structure like this. A lot of states don't break out the GIS that uniquely. It's kind of nice that New Jersey does. It looks like the same thing available here. You'll notice there are some little yellow rectangles on top of this as well, where you could go bid on individual units. This one is an entire structure, it looks like, and so is this one. Moving on. So inland a little bit, you have a lot of the denser, I mean, it's a very dense area if you've ever been there. Lots of high-rises or even just multi-level residential buildings like these. Possibly even commercial here. Let's open this one up and take a look. So this in particular, we have a $3,000 tax lien. We can see it right here. Here's the certificate number and the price. And we're looking at the total value of $300,000 on the property. And let's take a look. The upcoming auction information is here, so you can go place your bid. You can register for the sale or view the list here. And we have some links available as well on the property assessment and GIS if you wanted to go read more about this property from county and state sources. So let's see. Yeah, there's just so many properties to look at here. It's kind of overwhelming. So in one very concentrated space. So let's take a look. Why don't we jump over and check out Atlantic City next? It's going to be a similar look to it. Let's back up a little bit here. Oh, I hit the wrong link. Let's try that again. There we go. So Atlantic City on the waterfront here. And we're looking at just the properties in the Atlantic City municipality auction coming up. But again, let's zoom out a little bit. You can see, whoops. You can see where we're located here. New York is way up here to the north, where we were just on the West New York side. So this is going to be southern New Jersey. And again, there's actually quite a few properties available here as well. You can peek at them just clicking some of this. This looks like some type of loft urban renewal thing. Some individual units here available. Some more smaller residential here. And I'm presuming that as you get closer to the water, you're probably going to see more commercial or very dense residential like this high-rise available. A few vacant lots here. We see, we could always take a look at this small vacant lot. Wow, that's 0.06 acres at $76,000. That's a valuable piece of land. It's also in an opportunity zone here, we notice. But the tax lien available on this is going to be $2,943. And it's a different auction with the instructions here on the purchase option for how to go bid on that property. So that, generally speaking, that's how you would pick through these auctions. You know, if you wanted to get real specific and not look at 1,500 parcels here in West New York this way, you could always click on the search filters and take it down to, let's see, let's go through improvements only, and let's give a minimum of $200,000. And let's see what, that limits us down to 283 properties pretty quickly there. And so that's one way you could filter down to things that match your strategy better. There's other filters here available as well. We could always check out something like out-of-state owners and see. So these are properties owned by people that do not live in the state of New Jersey. Of course, they might live across the water in New York, and they're not that far away. But on the off chance, let's pick one and see. Yeah, this one's actually located in New York. So we literally just found an owner that lives across the river. So anyways, there's a lot of strategies depending on how you want to buy, how you want to end up with the property, or you're trying to get interest. That would these search filters can help you really hone in on what that is, and get to your properties that way. So let's close out of New Jersey. Again, there's another video that goes through the mechanics of how the auctions work, and if you want to watch that, it's available on our channel as well. Moving on to New Mexico. We keep thinking that their tax deed auction season is going to end, and I guess the fall tax auctions really have ended, and now we're into the winter now. But we're tracking 4 upcoming auctions. Reminder, these are all in-person tax deed auctions. They are not available online. But we're looking at Catron, Santa Fe, Union, and Colfax counties. A couple of these counties, basically, because they're smaller, don't have any GIS maps, so therefore we can only show you a list. But I can pick one that definitely does have GIS maps to show you. So let's go to our auction calendar. Let's check out New Mexico. And here are those 4 upcoming auctions. And here's Santa Fe. So right now there are 99 properties advertised for that. Let's go check them out on the map. So here are the... actually, I like to turn on the county borders so I can know where I'm looking. We're in the northern part of the county here. Let's go to map and get some contrast. I see some large properties here that are 700 acres apiece. Boy Scouts of America. I don't know if they're letting the land go or what's going on there. But those are listed as tax delinquent. I would have thought that they're tax exempt. I'm surprised to see those in an auction. So then we have some up here that are closer to, Santa Cruz, La Puebla area. And just for the satellite, let's take a look. These have some residential look to them, and a couple up here that actually have rooftops. We can tell, look like they have houses on them. So if you were looking for something you could invest in for residential structures, that's one way you could take a peek for that. And let's, since there's so few, only 99 properties, I'm going to view these results on a grid. And we'll sort by total value just to see what the most valuable properties in the auction are. Okay, so those 2 of those Boy Scouts of America properties right there at the top. And then there's you can see the property values here. Let's go with building even. Let's sort by building. So you can go by this column and see where the building values go. Yeah, if you were searching for these, I mean, I don't know the Santa Fe area that well, so I'm really just going by valuation and eyeballing it from the map. But if you're familiar with the area, I think this map tool is going to make a lot more sense to you for finding the properties you want to invest in. Looks like the more developed area down here, you have some properties as well. And here too. So again, 99 properties across the whole county, nothing huge, but these are tax deeds that a lot of people love to buy. So if that's appealing to you, then Santa Fe could be a great place for you to check out. So let's talk about South Carolina. It's been in a preview mode for about, I think, a month now with us, which means that it was our first year tracking tax lien auctions, and we chose the 8 largest markets. And right now we're at 6 of those are complete, and there are 2 remaining. Charleston has December 4th and Horry County on December 5th. So we've been tracking about 13,800 properties for this auction season, and we are planning to add OTCs very soon. And we also have a different video that goes deep into those 8 markets and South Carolina auctions. So I will not spend too much time here. Let's just briefly touch on, here's the South Carolina, the 6 auctions that are complete. You can go back and check out their lists or their map there. Or you can go view Charleston here or Horry County here and just map the counties or map the properties by clicking that button. And now we're looking at the Charleston auction. Plenty to look at there. Lots of properties here in yellow. And that will be in person coming up December 4th. So leaving South Carolina and going to Tennessee next. We've learned that auction season in Tennessee is pretty much year-round. It's that 12% one-year redemption penalty interest that everybody loves for their tax deeds there. And let's talk about the upcoming auctions. We just finished up a couple in November here, and right now we're focused on Anderson, Robertson, and Davidson, which we didn't put them in order, or I lost the number on Robertson here. Let's go check. I think we have a date that's wrong on the slide, so let's go to the calendar and see what the real date is. Oh, it is. Okay, so it is December 1st, Friday for Robertson. It's just they're out of order. That's the only thing confusing here. And we do have an auction scheduled for next year for Knox County, but that schedule was removed from their website. So we happened to capture those properties before they were taken down. Let's go to the rolling calendar in 2024. You can see the Knox auction right here. And basically, these properties, they showed them and advertised them and then took the list and the date off the website. So right now, we're going to keep an eye on this one and monitor it. But if this is the Knoxville area, Knox County, if that auction does happen, you can get a preview of it here right now. And quite a few properties here to research. So that's something that you have at your fingertips if you're interested in that. And lastly, the only over-the-counter we're tracking in Tennessee is the Shelby Land Bank, which is Memphis. And there's a couple thousand properties pretty much all the time there. And there's usually some Shelby auctions. I think the next one's in March. So also tracking towards that. Next up, we have Florida. Their over-the-counter liens, deeds, and foreclosure auctions. Real quick, we cover this almost every week. There are tax liens and tax lien auctions in May and June. There are tax deed auctions all year, and 50 of those are in November, 49 in December right now. So we're tracking close to the same number in those 2 months. January and February, we have 2024 tax deed auctions available now, so we can see those on the new auction calendar. Similar in foreclosure auctions, there's a November, December are kind of similar months. 299 foreclosure auctions in November. We're already looking at 223 in December. And for January and February, we do have some foreclosure auctions in 2024 we're looking at too. So you can get the jump on those. And lastly, there's always ways to buy over the counter in Florida. There are tax liens from the county and tax deeds as well, known as lands available for taxes. And you can view all that in Parcel Fair. But today we'll just take a look at the Florida auction calendar. We'll start with the foreclosures today. And if we take a look at foreclosures only in our rolling calendar format, we're going to be able to see 299 in November. And let's look at December has 223. And then now we can look at January 24. There are 203 auctions already available for you to look at. And into February, there's even a few. There are 69 in February that you can look at. So a lot of very small foreclosure auctions all in one place here. If we want to view tax deed auctions, we use the select box at the top right and switch modes over to tax deed auctions, which is going to hide those foreclosures. You can see there were 50 in November, 49 in December, and 17 coming up in January. I'm sure there'll be more added before then. And then February, we already have 4 tax deed auctions for you to start looking at. So if you like to plan ahead, Florida is a great place with that long runway of auction announcements. Indiana is in foreclosure season, and we just exited the fall tax lien auction season, so that's why I call it foreclosure season. The main show in town is that you can shop in these auctions. There were 33 of these foreclosures and auctions in November. 10 are scheduled in December, so it's a little bit quiet. But we already have the lead on 22 more in January that you can get a head start on. And don't forget the spring auctions. The commissioner sales, they're right around the corner. The early release advertisements are coming soon. They'll be here before you know it. And let's don't go to Colorado next. Let's go look at Indiana first. We won't take too much time here since it's a quiet part of the year, but let's take a look at the foreclosure auctions. You can see 33 for November. Most of these are complete, but here you can tell the remaining ones here starting on the 21st. Moving on to December, And then there's some January auctions you can take a look at as well going into next year. Now we can look at Colorado. The tax lien auction season is complete since our last news video. And stay tuned, we have more OTC updates arriving. We've already seen a few leftovers from this year show up in the rolls. And they're liens that are available at full interest, 15% this year, that you can buy direct from the counties. Don't forget there are rolling foreclosure auctions throughout the year. 6 more in November, 14 in December. And we do have a Colorado off-season investing video on this channel if you want to know how to invest in Colorado when it's not during the tax lien auction season, when it's during the off-season. Arizona, another state that's heavy into the over-the-counter season. Those tax liens for the year have been released a long time ago. They're very picked over at this point, but there are still about 40,000 to choose from at 16% interest. You're going to buy those direct from the county for that interest rate. And we would like to remind you guys that we just introduced an Arizona photo video scouting service with some friends of ours over there. They are debuting in Maricopa, Coconino, and Cochise counties. So this is a pretty large area that you can choose from. Those are 3 large, well-populated counties, plenty of properties there. So we'd love for you to try out the scouting service if you don't live near Arizona and don't want to scout your own properties there. Alabama, the auction season ended in June. We're definitely in the over-the-counter season. I'll show you a calendar in a second. One of the strongest over-the-counter markets in the country. You can buy liens over-the-counter. There's land banks, resellers, certificates, and deeds. Pretty much anything you want to buy are available year-round outside of the auctions. We do have 2 inventories that are now offline that we have learned about. The Mobile Neighborhood Renewal Program. It was we only recently added it to the website, only to find out that they were taking the winter off. So they're, at least for the next 2 months, going to be offline, maybe longer. The Gadsden Land Bank, we still have the properties on the site for you to look at. And the city says the land bank is open, but the website is being rebuilt. I'm not sure when it's going to be back online. We're just going to count it as an offline OTC inventory for now. Hopefully it's a seasonal thing and they will come back. And just so you remember, we have this calendar I've been showing every week that has the, on the left side you see stacked up there, all the different things you can buy. And then across the calendar on the right, you can see when to buy them, when are they available, when are they off season. And as a reminder, we are here. We're way off on the right side, headed into the cold months while we're waiting on our auction list to be available starting in 2024. So nothing really new to talk about here. Just a reminder that those spring auction lists will be right around the corner. Mississippi, deep into OTC season also. That auction season ended back in August. And right now, the only way you can buy with us, or that we advertise at least, are the 7,802 over-the-counter properties from the Mississippi Tax Forfeited Lands Division. You can buy those year-round from the state. There were only 27 new properties added in November. It's kind of quiet compared to October and September, but still a few additions there to look at. Arkansas, the season is over as well. We're seeing OTCs added. There was a healthy stream for September and October, and then November, there were only 15 added. So those year-round purchases, they are available through the Commissioners of State Lands. You can, of course, see those properties on Parcel Fair, as we've shown many times. And then we link straight over to that form to bid and purchase. Those are little miniature auctions that run every day is what they are. So you would go place an opening bid, and it kicks off an auction for that property that other people can bid on. But that's how you buy leftovers in Arkansas. Maryland's also over-the-counter season. The last auction was October 26th, so we haven't been there very long. But we don't know any more auctions this year, so we're going to talk about Baltimore City has the largest OTC inventory. There are 3 main ways to buy there. The first are the 2023 over-the-counter liens that just were left over from this year. You literally have to get a paper copy source via mail to see these. Or you can use Parcel Fair. We also got that paper copy, scanned it, digitized it, loaded it, and put it on a map for you. So no pencils or highlighters needed. So that's the fastest way to go through it. The 2022 leftovers went from the paper copy source, and they've been moved into a site called Buy Into Baltimore. So we monitor that list as well and put those on Parcel Fair. And lastly, properties that fall out of 2 years of the redemption on the liens that have not been bought fall into the Buy Into Baltimore website. Their other program, which is more like a land bank, where you buy the properties, which those three combined total up to 2,682 over-the-counter properties. So a good chunk of over-the-counter options there if you're shopping in Baltimore City. North Carolina, not a ton to cover here, but we're looking at some new county suggestions to work with. And you have Mecklenburg, Union, Cabras is already finished, Durham, Wake, Airedale, Davidson, and Guilford we're pulling in. Thank you for the recommendations. I had hoped we have these in by now, but we've been a little busy on some other stuff. So it gives us something to work on this winter to help out North Carolina. We still say it's in preview mode because we don't have large coverage in the state yet. And frankly, we're still learning the market. Oklahoma and Utah, similar story. Their auction seasons are over though, so we would have to be tracking over-the-counter properties. We have a little bit in Oklahoma and more to come, but we did get some Utah over-the-counter suggestions, which we will be adding. Those are coming soon. Thank you, as always, for sending us feedback on that. We're excited to get something going in Utah. And that brings us to a close, so I hope you have a great week, and thanks again for watching today. If you want to be alerted when these videos come out and get the jump on these, you could subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. And if you want to like the video, that helps us out as well. And if you want to talk with us, drop a comment below or go to our website, parcelfair.com, and hit up our contact form. You can get us either way. Thanks again.